Hey, everybody. I am going to make a quick adjustment before it gets away from me, and that's what I'm going to turn. There it is. We're waiting. And let's see that. Yeah, here that is. As it comes
Let's
in,
see that.
boom, there that is. And it's the one, the only, the great, broke ass Stuart Schuffman. How you doing, my man?
Good. How you doing?
Oh, You know what? I'm now. I've lived a full life, sort of. It's not over by any means, but I have definitely lived a
Hope
full
not.
life because I have you on my live stream.
Oh,
This is like, folks. This man is a San Francisco legend. And do you realize that in as many weeks too, I've had two San Francisco legends. I've had Will Durst and you.
wow.
I just realized that right now. I'm like, oh,
Will Durst is great. He's a funny dude.
hey, both he is. He really is. But hey, you know
So
what?
I don't know if you remember this. You actually had me on video once before. No, twice
Yeah,
before.
twice.
And
Yeah,
honestly, it was so long ago. I think it was you had a flip camera.
I did. I did.
It
Yeah,
was you were recording. It was once in Oakland at Flora, I think,
that's right.
and once at a community meeting in the city on Van Ness.
Yeah, and you're still up there. And that was. But it's been so long because I went through. Wow, camcorders. Then I was just in love with flip video camera, and then Cisco Deep System, or however you want to call it. And now
Right.
I'm iPhone. But hey, I want to first. I have a lot of questions for you, so I'm going to start right
Right.
off. First of all, for my viewers who are not familiar with you or what you've done, but should be, and I say this to everybody, you should be. How did the brand? And I know the answer to this question, but how did the brand Broke Ass Stewart start?
I'll give you the super short version. In 2003,
Mm-hmm.
I was working in a candy store in North Beach, and somebody from my neighborhood growing up in San Diego came in, and the woman who's now his wife, she as they're leaving, she gives me a business card. It says travel writer, and I said, I want to be a travel writer, so I decided to become one. And I started making zines. And before there was blogs, you could go to Kinko's and literally cut, paste, and physically staple your publication and sell it from your backpack. And that's what I did.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Mm-hmm.
it was Broke Ass Stewart's Guide to Living Cheaply in San Francisco, and that became books. And then that became I did a TV show in 2011. It was a travel show. And then 2015, I ran for mayor of San
I remember
Francisco.
that. Yep.
I did not win.
Dang it.
Thank God. And then since then I've done a lot of things. Mostly I run the website and make cool art shit.
And now you have a YouTube channel, which I think is really cool and well done, and is very, if you will, motherly. Uh, that's a big hint right there, which means I actually watched it too. Hello.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. How did that start out? Tell us what it's all about.
So I got this brand new web series called it's called Shaky Ground, and it's like somewhere between Portlandia and Silicon Valley. There's so much to make fun of right now in San Francisco and in the Bay Area in general, and no one's doing it right. And I've got such a good finger on the pulse of this place for the better, for the worse. And so we did this really great series. And so the first sketch is called Motherly, and it's about a guy who's like this like a tech executive who there's an app that does all the shit that his mommy won't do for him anymore, basically. Which is like I feel like most apps. And so it's his like battle with this app. And I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's really fucking funny.
It quite is. Well, I don't want to ruin it for anybody either. Let's just say that there's some of that is what I'm trying to do to my mom's house, and she's screaming in protest. I'll just leave it at
Fair enough.
Hey, so what what's going on with San Francisco? You're an expert on San Francisco, not full stop. Okay, what the heck is going on?
Nothing good. I mean, all the good things that are happening in San Francisco is built out of a resistance to what's happening otherwise. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the best parts of San Francisco right now are showing their face in protest and in fighting back because there's just onslaught of like a lot of money and a lot of greed. You know, like every 2 weeks we hear about a great legendary business getting shut down because some fucking shitty landlord's greedy. And the problem with it is like half is not even like the landlord who made the deal; it's whoever inherited that building when that landlord died.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because people who don't have like relationships with the city necessarily. They don't have relationships with the people who are in the building. There's like, I want to make my money, gotta make my nut, get the fuck out. And so it's like it's devaluing our value system in the city.
How did let me
And
one thing I want to do is take a social media aim and tweet this out real quick. It only take 1 second. For YouTube perspective, we're live. Okay, now how is it that we're live? We're back. Hey, you didn't feel a thing, folks, but it was tweeted out. So if you see it, Zenny62 retweeted. Okay, Stuart Schuffman. Yeah. Thank you. So what? Let me ask. The number one problem is the homeless problem, right?
Or is it? The homeless problem is tied to other things. You know, it's not a thing, and we're in a vacuum. We have a housing crisis, and we have an inequality crisis, and that fuels the homelessness crisis, right? So here's the thing: if you have ever evicted somebody, and you don't get to complain about homelessness.
True.
You literally put someone out of their home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I've met people who live in tents on the street and go to work every day. Or they live in cars or campers and go to work every day because they still got to do this shit. They just don't have the other options. And unfortunately, that's the future more and more so because, this shit's been stacked against us. You've had 40 years of people deregulating things and then funding politicians and funding legislation that benefits them, so they pay less taxes, and we as working people inherit the debt, more or less. I didn't know I was going to get on my socialist trip right now. I can do this all night long, but
this is great, man. Would you consider yourself a democratic socialist, whatever that means?
Oh, card carrying.
Yeah. What does it mean to you?
To me, I believe that I think that we owe each other more as people and as a society. And I think that our government owes us more too. Like here's the thing. I don't mind paying taxes if they don't go to war and they go to feeding my fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I'd rather my taxes build one less bomber and feed all the people in San Francisco who live on the street and help them get, rehabilitative services and help them get inside. That's where I want my taxes to go to. I don't give a shit. Because here's the thing. People are like, oh, universal health care can't work. It's going to be so expensive. Actually, no. You're paying more for health care now than you would be paying in taxes for universal health care.
Yep.
So the people don't realize that. And, the right's been fucking polluting our fucking brains with garbage for so long. And by lying to us and dangling freedom in front of our faces instead of saying, the real thing is, look, I don't love the Democrats. I'm further left than Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate Republicans. Sorry, motherfuckers. But, here's the thing. We need, real shit for real people.
Mm-hmm.
And, all the right's ever done is give everything to the rich.
Mm-hmm. So, what, in that context, how do we evaluate San Francisco change? And I asked that for this question. And I sit here, I am 2,994 miles away from the Bay Area and my apartment and you. Not my apartment and you. We have different places we live. But yeah, you never know these days, right? But but my point is that from this place, which is a Republican stronghold, and it's harder to get much more of a Republican stronghold than particularly suburban Georgia, suburban Atlanta.
But Atlanta's blue, though, isn't it?
Atlanta's very blue. Let me put it this way. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. This part of Georgia, northern Georgia, is the most complicated society I've ever seen or lived in my life. And it is because it's not just, rich, poor, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, and so on. It's Old South, New South. Okay? and that unique layer uh, colors and pun intended a lot of things. Okay, I mean, for example, but and I say that because we tend to live in a bubble in the Bay Area as much as there's a bubble here, and I have the
Right.
luxury of going back and forth. From
Sure.
here, going back there, it looks like progressives. All this bad stuff that we're talking about with San Francisco has been on the watch of Democrats and progressives. And that's
Right.
consistently pointed out. Even the radio here on sports radio, one guy says, "Oh, San Francisco's a blank hole. Yada 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 yada. You don't know what's going on there. It's all ultra liberal, all this." And I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, that's hard to defend. Where do we go wrong as liberals? And I call myself a liberal, not a progressive. But names aside, where do we go wrong in
Right.
people who are supposedly like minded in their thinking?
Well, unfortunately, what happens is we are inheriting their deficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
So because we have programs that actually take care of people,
Mm-hmm.
every time they stop taking care of people, we inherit those people.
That's a good point. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So because you cut off food stamps, what are those people? What are those people going to do for food? They're going to go to a place where they can get fed.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut off housing stipends, where are those people going to go?
Mm-hmm.
To a place where they can get housing stipends. So it's their cold-heartedness that push people towards us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, like, what's happening now is coming for them too. In
Mm-hmm.
25 years, Oxford just did this study.
Mm-hmm.
In 25 years, we're going to lose 49% of the current jobs that exist.
Yep.
Through automation and robotics, right?
That's right.
So your fancy suburban white ass fucking Georgia shit is gonna get eaten alive too, because those jobs are not going to exist, and our government is not prepared for that at all.
Yeah, it's funny.
So,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
so
Go ahead. Go ahead.
even the people that say, well, there'll be new jobs created. Yeah, sure. Someone's got to clean up the fucking robot when it runs over somebody. That has to be one job for fucking 40,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're approaching a brand new fucking Great Depression, but it's going to look very different because this time there's going to be 1.5% of the population that's going to make so much fucking money,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of us that aren't. And like they're working on turning us against each other now. Black, white, rich, poor. Here's the thing: poor people don't realize how rich people really are.
True.
If people don't realize if you're a millionaire, if you make $1 million a year, you're making over $83,000 a month.
That's right. Yeah.
Think about that. Most people don't realize that. I didn't realize that. So I did the math one day. I was like, "What's $1 million a year?
Mm-hmm.
That's $83,000 a month." And those are the people who don't get taxed enough.
Right.
Anyway.
No, you're absolutely
So-
right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, you're absolutely right. In that context, what's the future of San Francisco look like? And the reason I ask is because what strikes
Sure.
me about quite literally being sort of a floater, right,
Mhm.
is the common person out here, particularly in the suburbs. This is not a rich suburb. It is becoming mostly black. It's changing. It seeks cheek by jowl with another area that's white. There's some flight there. That's unfortunate. But even when I meet people who are white, they're laborers. I mean, laborers for somebody, moving bricks around and stuff. It's a really
Mhm.
different climate. The education levels, I've never seen, yeah, I've never seen education levels, regardless of color, that are so different. I guess the word would be stridently different.
Mhm.
It's remarkable, Stuart. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking, well, what they have industry here that we don't have there, but on the other hand, we have talent in the Bay Area that they don't have here. I point out to people here, I say, hey, look at your television set, and you'll see YouTube and all these other companies are all in the San Francisco Bay Area. That's where the power is. The Bay Area is the modern Detroit. But having said that, are we dying? Or are we? I mean, what's going on with us? We are the modern Detroit, arguably.
Right. I think that, like, unfortunately, like I said earlier, I think the part that makes me love San Francisco, the part that makes me love the Bay, is the way that we resist.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was out in in DC to protest the inauguration,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's like me and my buddy Joe Fitz, he writes for the Examiner. We're
Oh
like,
yeah, I know. I see his. Yeah, he's a cool guy. I haven't met him. He seems like a
I
cool
love
guy.
Joe. And we're like out there, and like people are freaking out because there's protests. We're like, this is fucking Tuesday in the Bay Area. Fucking protest. We do this every fucking day, you know. So I love our sense of resistance. I love our fire for fighting back. That's what gives me heart and like feeling for the Bay Area. But I do think that like in the long run, and hopefully Oakland can learn from San Francisco's failures because San Francisco is failed. I think for like we're gonna hold on what we can hold on who's ever left, you know. But like the San Francisco that I fell in love with almost 20 years ago no longer exists. And you know, sure, it's always changing, always turning.
Say that one more time, please.
The San Francisco that I fell in love with almost 20 years ago no longer exists.
Yeah. Let's put some meat on those bones. What does that look like?
I think that like it looks like I've seen so many people that I care about evicted through no fault evictions. I've seen people, you know, I've just seen greed and avarice and rapacious fucking viewpoints of the world where it's like get mine or get lost, you know. And like you know, and don't get me wrong, I get it. This is a gold rush town originally, you know, but like we've engendered so many social movements because we were the last city on the edge of the world and we accepted everybody, right? And no longer can that be because you can't accept everybody if not everybody can be here.
Right. Very well said.
And so like, look, I love this city. Like I'm literally like left my heart in San Francisco, you know? Like I love this city.
Cool
this city's given me so much, but it breaks my fucking heart. And I believe in like one thing that like, I don't know, like I believe that it's got good intentions, and I just don't know who's in charge of those intentions all the time. That makes any sense.
Yeah, it seems to me, and I don't know where you're on this. I'll probably get beat up, but it's okay.
Fuck 'em.
But this is your platform to beat me up, so that's fine. Scott Wiener, your senator, had a piece of legislation called SB 50, and if FD 50 had passed, it's sort of in a holding pattern, it would have allowed higher density housing. And there was a big argument about that. And I have nothing, I actually like Scott personally. This is not that, okay? But my disagreement was that I was trying to explain to him the old idea that higher density produces lower cost doesn't work anymore because we've had higher density in San Francisco. We had somebody from Russia, you know, come over and bid up the hot, right? And I'm not saying anything about Russia like, oh, Russians are bad. It's a fact. We've had, you know, foreign direct investment buying up these huge condos that completely obliterates that old idea. You know what I mean?
Not Russia, you have China, Brazil.
Right.
Whoever.
Right. Yeah. And that's I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that it makes me, I was using the Blade Runner analogy. Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. You know, the huge skyscrapers. That's what it looks like San Francisco's turning into. It looks like San Francisco's actually turning into the San Francisco of J.J. Abrams' Star Trek in 2009. You know, that's what I was like, So I wanted your take on that, you know. And what
I'm not opposed to higher density if it's actually...
And I'm not either. I'm not either. I'm not opposed to it either.
It's made for regular people.
Right. Exactly.
If you want to have teachers and you want to have bartenders and you want to have janitors and you want to have people who like actually keep things running, you need to build shit for them. You can't just say the invisible hand of the market will fix it all, because all the invisible hand of the market does is serve the people who are in charge of the market.
Yes.
And so therefore, sure, build as tall as you want and make it all fucking luxury housing. But you know who's gonna do that? Luxury ass people. And you're not gonna have anybody. Right now, like you complain, what people complain that you know a sandwich is so expensive. It's because a dude's got to come from fucking Vallejo to work there. You know. And so like, it's a complicated thing. Until we have law, the problem is, I think the real problem is, the strength and weaknesses of our country is the divide between federal and state and also local. On some hands, you know, it's like federal, the separation between church and state, or rather federal and state, is keeping it so that like we're going to have actual great laws to protect women's rights in the Bay Area and in San Francisco and in Oregon and in Washington, right? And in New York and in Connecticut. Fuck Alabama, you know? But like, so that's the good part of having states' rights and local rights, you know. The bad part is like we have to also inherit other people's bullshit too. And so, therefore, if we can't have like a national ban on fucking foreign traders buying uh, real estate, and you can't legislate that locally, it's complicated.
That's very well said.
Um,
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I don't know.
no,
Sorry, go.
I think you put a great paint on it, paint on the ship, if you will. But my question is to you, uh, what is San Francisco doing about it? Good or bad? What do you think of London Breed and her role in this, good or bad? What's the picture like? I mean, from your point of view.
You know, I've always supported everyone who's run against London Breed.
Yeah.
I don't know her personally. Um, she seems like, I mean, a very smart, capable woman, and like I appreciate who she is and where she comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that said, I've always supported everybody who's run against her. But I'm rooting for her because I'm rooting for my city, you know. And I was a big dissident against her predecessor, Ed Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she gave our city up to the most money interest possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm rooting for London. I really am. Actually, it's funny. Like I said, I've never been like a big supporter of London, but I was at this thing where they were on the Embarcadero. They're trying to build this navigation center, and it's all these rich people that are pushing back. You know, it's like, don't say. My thing is this: if you say you are for women's rights, then you should support a navigation center because women are they're predators preying against homeless women.
Mm-hmm.
If you say Black Lives Matter, then you have to support homeless shelters and navigation centers because it's an exorbitant amount of black people on the street compared to white people in terms of like, you know, per capita, right? So you can't say these things and not back them up.
Right.
Anyway, so I think the people fighting is bullshit. So anyways, London's up there and people are hollering and fucking screaming at her. And I loved her clap back. I was super fucking juiced on like the way she just handled the crowd. Like, nah, man, be cool. I'm from here. Don't tell me I don't belong here. I appreciate it a lot.
Nice.
That said, like I said, I'm rooting for her. We'll see. I wouldn't like. I ran for mayor. I don't want to be mayor. That was never the point.
Mm-hmm.
Being mayor of San Francisco is gonna be a fucking terrible thing because you're constantly battling between a place's ideals and its realities. And unfortunately, the realities are not dictated by the people who are living for the ideals.
Mm-hmm.
The realities are dictated by the people who have all the money, like anywhere. And there's so much money here. Once again, you have people who say things that I support women, I support black people, I support minorities, I support immigrants. They say those things, but they don't do those things in their practice and the way they spend their money.
Yeah, and that's
that to me is the definition of San Francisco right now.
And that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around as we approach, and I've been a credential for the Democratic State Convention, which is in San Francisco. To me, us as Democrats have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
You know, because you've heard this for all the time that you and I have been in California, how proud California has been to be, ran by Democrats.
Sure.
And yet we have all these problems and we seem loath. I mean, let me put it this way. In Oakland, you mentioned Oakland, Tuesday night, they with a rapidity I have not seen Oakland do much, passed the first reading of resolution to decriminalize psychedelic mushrooms. Now,
right.
Private proviso. I have nothing against the proposal. What bothers me is you and I both know that not a lot of black folks do psychedelic mushrooms. Okay?
I don't like 2 or 3. That's it, though. Yeah.
Okay, and so my point is, hey, wait a minute. If this were a black thing, they would have been dragging their feet on it. Come on. And now, right? That's all I'm saying. And it's like, at what point are we going to stop kidding ourselves about this class issue, which is really, and say, you know what, we need to fix this to better all of our lives. And I'm not. My observation that I'd love to hear your view on is that it seems that homelessness has become such a part. It's almost ossifying, and it's like people are so used to this, like a thing you study now, rather than work to reduce. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I saw this article on Huffington Post actually last week, and believe it or not, it was a really good article. And a lot of times Huffington Post articles aren't. It was a really good article that that like really took a look at the homelessness situation, um, top down, federal to local, federal, state, local, sub-local. You know, and the problem is that it's a national problem. It's a federal problem that like that like municipalities are inheriting, and really once again going back to the right, going back to Ronald Reagan and the defunding of mental institutions, the defunding of things like HUD, the defunding of programs that support people. That's all the right. That's you can Google that shit, fuckers. Google that. Like so. Once again, we are inheriting the problems they caused, and they're blaming it on us.
Yeah.
And but it's still bigger than like I'm like pointing fingers, yada yada. It's bigger than that.
But I got to ask you on that note of having said that, wouldn't you agree that the idea around which SB 50 was formed was essentially trickle down economics? In other words, we build up, and the housing prices will trickle down to the poor, and they'll make themselves available. That was what
Absolutely.
And I was like, and I said to Scott, I said, "Hey, dude, what you're saying? That's trickle down economics. That's a Republican idea." Crickets. I mean, this I'm like,
I literally said that when I was running for mayor. I literally said we don't do these trickle down economics shit.
Yeah. And now we're trying to do it. And I'm like, what the, that's what's got me, man. I'm like, what is going on?
Well, you can't build enough. You can't build enough for rich people to get poor people out of being poor. You got to build for poor people to get them out of being poor. Because rich people aren't going to do it on themselves. As we've seen over the past 40 years, with all this deregulation,
yep,
and stock market gouging shit, if you let rich people do what they're going to do them every time. That's what they do. And I get it. I don't appreciate it. I get it. You're greedy. But, like, that's how it works. So that's to me is the role of the federal government. The government's job, and that's the thing, like the smartest thing that rich white people ever did was convince poor white people that they got the same shit in common.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't. Poor black people and poor white people got more in common than rich white people and poor white people. Because that's the truth. The color of our skin doesn't matter how we eat and what we do and how we pay for our families and shit. Right. What matters is fucking how we pay for our families and shit,
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. And I think that the class consciousness that's happening right now, it's happening. It's not happening fast enough, but it's happening. And you see people like Elizabeth Warren, you see people like Bernie Sanders that are speaking real truth to power and saying, like, Elizabeth Warren, she put up a fucking billboard today on the 101 that said, we need to break up big tech.
Mm-hmm. Whoa. That's interesting. Oh, how do we come back to that? Hey, folks, this is Stuart Schuffman, unknown Raider guy, and barely welcome. My longtime friend, Stuart Schuffman. Broke ass Stuart, as we know him, is the guest. If you have a question, you guys know the drill. Type your question in the comment section here on YouTube. I'll make best effort. I always ask the question and we get an answer. Now, moving forward and getting back to the whole big tech thing, where do we go from startups being cool to now we got this big tech, and it seems like nobody's talking about startups anymore. And the whole thing is, and here's that word again, ossified. I mean, what's going on here? Or is it that big tech is that rich? I mean, you have all these billionaires, and will we see a trillionaire soon? What's going on? Well, Apple's a $1 trillion company.
The issue is that, technology moves so much faster than government, right? Mm-hmm. So let's just take Airbnb, for example. They raised what started as an app to, rent out your couch for travelers.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 years became this fucking $1 billion business. And they got so much funding and so much money. By the time people started trying to regulate them, they had so much money. They could pay for the lobbyists, they could pay for the lawyers, they could pay for fucking Ed Lee and David Chu, who have make them have their own legislation that Airbnb wrote for themselves in San Francisco, right? So you have things moving at an exponentially fast fucking speed.
Yep.
Government can't keep up. And so big tech grows with
Well said. Well said. Can you repeat that, please?
Which part? I'm sorry.
Government can't keep up.
Government can't keep up with the way that tech works, because tech works on fucking venture capital, which also I call vulture capital. they, they just there's so much money.
Hey, dude, I want some of that. Okay, wait.
Fair enough, but the big tech grows so quickly because they have so much money. And government moves so slowly because of bureaucracy. Like, there's no way by the time the government realizes a problem, big tech can just fund everything to fight against it. And we've seen that here. Like, literally, I'm not exaggerating. Airbnb wrote the legislation that they govern them, and then later on sued the city against that legislation. It's like a Mad Magazine
That's
thing, man. It's
crazy.
like when you connect the back pages to make a new photo, you know?
That's wild. Hey, so look,
Yeah.
so we all. I mean, even though you look like you're 21, you're what? What? No, you
No,
do. You're
oh, that's cute. I'm 38.
unbelievable. It's like, and I'm 56. It's like,
You look good, man.
thanks, it's my mom. But but did you? Because I've tried. I think I'm on my fourth company. Have you tried to dabble in tech? And here's where I'm going with this. Okay, for all the people that others hear about who are not from this area, like Mark Zuckerberg or others, there are a lot of us who have tried and we didn't quite hit it. How would you describe, for a person who doesn't understand the Bay Area, what it's like to be here, and the kind of the inertial pull that everybody has to kind of dip their water into the tech pool, right?
Sure. So years ago, probably like 2010, 2011,
Mm-hmm.
I thought about getting VC,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't do it, thankfully, because if I did, I wouldn't be doing Broke Ass Stewart anymore.
Really?
I would have. Oh yeah, I mean, they would have bought that, sold it 3 times over, and nobody would have, like. Especially working in media, and you get this. Like, there's so little money in media, and you have to be so creative to find it. And like, you don't get creative people when you get venture capital shit involved. You might have some creative people involved, but it's mostly some guy who's like, "Where's my fucking money? I
Yeah.
gave you this money. Where's my fucking money?" Right? So the smartest thing I ever did was be stupid, and not take their money or whatever, you know. But because I wouldn't exist now. You know, in 2011 there was 30 million blogs. Now there's 30. You know, but for those who are not here, you know, it seems like this golden land of fucking Zuckerbergs and Fuckerbergs. But it's like most people I know, a lot of people I know who work in tech, they're just very highly paid laborers.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they might be making 6 figures, but they're also paying $5,000 a month in rent.
Yeah. Yeah. They're not owning much.
And they're working for somebody else's dream.
Yeah. And I was thinking also people like I don't know if you ever met like Mary. You ever met Mary Harder?
Who?
Her name Mary Harder. It was a digital pioneer I met at VloggerCon in 2006 at convention, and she made a website called Dabble, which is the website where you can actually go to another website and scrape that website's contents. But she made the mistake of basically running her site on somebody else's server, and that person jacked up. They had some dispute, and that person ended up shutting her down. And so I mean, I'm thinking about all these people that have been involved in tech there, and it's really hard. It's hard to start a business unless you make that connection. But when you do, when you are able to get that one person that sees your vision and invests in you, you could change your life. You know, and I'm trying to give people a picture of why people come to San Francisco to stake their claim today, and how that's driven up costs and everything else, right?
Totally. I mean, what's funny, this goes back to the people who've been watching since the very beginning. This goes back to my web series in a way.
Yeah.
Called Shaky Ground. You should check it out. You know, it's this idea that, like, there's all these apps being created to do the shit that your mom won't do for you anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like we don't need any more laundry apps. We don't need any more apps to deliver food to your house. We need apps that solve real problems, you know? And so the web series I'm doing is really satirical. It's really funny. It's kind of like the finger in the eye of all of that.
Yep.
It's like, hey, fuck you guys. Let's do some real shit. Let's make fun of what is going on. Because like we have some of the brightest minds of a generation, of many generations, all in one place, and they're focused on how to do your laundry better.
Yeah.
It's absurd.
But there's one thing though. I have to ask you a question on that note.
Yeah.
Are you? I mean, I don't want to. How do I ask this without giving away? I'll just ask it because I don't think I am. All right. You forgot about the sex bots.
Oh, that'll come in a different episode. There's many more episodes. We just haven't filmed that one yet.
Oh, I can't wait to see that one, man.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, we've got 5 episodes right now, and then there's more to come. Like, we're doing really cool stuff. I'm so excited about what we're doing because no one's roasting the city the way that it needs to be roasted, and I'm proud to do it because I've got a unique view on it. I've been here for long enough and been in the trenches long enough to I occupy a very weird space in this city. My Venn diagram of my world is I've worked in restaurants and bars my whole adult life. I've worked in politics and activism for a long time, and I've worked in media for a long time. So that Venn diagram of media, nightlife, restaurants, and politics and activism is a strange confluence. And so because of that, like, I walk into a restaurant, I know the busboy because I used to work with him, but I also know the owner through other shit.
Wait. Time out. Folks, this guy is known and loved by everybody. And that unusual Venn diagram he points to is his secret sauce. I'm sorry, I have to tell you because it never ceases to amaze me how you built up this fantastic network in San Francisco and created your celebrity around that. But go ahead. Just want to say that.
I mean, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
But for me, like, it gives me such interesting perspective because, like I said, I know guys who own like 15 businesses, like 15 restaurants, 15 fucking bars, But I know the guys who fucking come in and cut the lemons and limes before the fucking bar opens because I worked with them at the last bar. And so it's an interesting perspective on like what the haves and the have-nots in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And because that unique perspective I have, I have a very interesting insight into like the fuckery and the beauty and the shit show that is the Bay Area.
Hey, so of the restaurants tell us where you worked and whether or not they're open and closed. I'll tell you some of my favorites. You can tell me if they're still going or not. All right.
Probably not then.
Royal Exchange, Sacramento. Royal Exchange, Sacramento Front Street.
Royal Exchange is still there.
Yeah, because I was there for the big game party last fall, and then of course Kel's, Irish bar.
Kel's is still there. Yes,
I love Kel's.
Good place.
Balboa Cafe is owned by the governor, so you got to take that off the list, right? Okay. Give you some Mercury Lounge.
Not anymore. No.
Wow, it's gone.
7, 8 years now. Yeah.
Wow. Monarch.
Still there.
Cool.
Legendary.
Yeah. I know DV8's been long gone.
Yeah.
I remember DV8. Wow, that was so much fun. It was a lot of fun. Globe. Remember Globe?
Yeah, that's closed.
Yeah.
The late night place in the financial district, right? The restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone.
So where do you go to get your late night food? It used to be Spats or what was it, Sparky's?
Sparky's is gone. Yeah,
What?
it's interesting. There's a few diners in Union Square that are 24 hours, like Pinecrest and like Cafe Mason. It's not much of a late night city anymore. Yeah. But here's the thing, like, I know it's crazy. Well, a lot of nightlife people I know are getting squeezed real hard because people who go out late nightlife weeknights, people in their 20s and 30s, and in San Francisco now, most people who are in their 20s and 30s work in tech, and so they work a lot of hours, and there's usually booze or at least beer at work, so they drink it after work at work and then go home and they don't go out.
Wow.
So there's actually a lot of bars I know are getting squeezed, a lot of clubs I know are getting squeezed real hard because 10 years ago, people go out on Tuesday, Thursday night, They don't do that anymore. I was out on a Thursday night on Valencia, like 3-4 weeks ago. Valencia and 16th at Casanova Lounge. And it felt like a Monday night. And it was like, even 6 years ago, that would have been cracking.
Huh.
So yeah,
So you're telling me that the Bermuda Triangle is dead?
I never drank there, so I don't know. I can go there more often.
Folks,
It's too hairy for that part of the town, you know.
folks, for those of you who are not initiated, we're talking about the Marina District, and the Bermuda Triangle is at Fillmore in Greenwich, and it's where the Balboa Cafe, a place that used to be called the Pierce Street Annex, and now I don't know what its name is. Another place that actually has some pretty good tapas is there. But the whole point was that uh, I had, you remember Harry Denton?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. How's he doing? Do you know?
I don't know. Is he still around? I don't even know.
I was wow. Man, I hope he's still with us. I got to check on that now.
He's been around for a long time. Regardless, he owns like tons of bars around the city.
Yeah, folks. Harry Denton is a local legend who. How would you describe Harry Denton?
He was an entrepreneur, and he would open really interesting high end but not too high end bars and restaurants that were like kitschy and interesting. He had the Starlight Lounge at the top of the Sir Francis Drake, which had like drag queen brunch, but also nightlife too. He had, he had like
Southside. Harry Denton's Southside.
Which one's that?
Harry Denton's Southside. When
I don't know that place.
No, it was Harry Denton's Southside was Fillmore near Fillmore and 7th. Oh my God, it had some of the most gorgeous waitresses, and yeah, I did say that. It was like no, and the funny thing is, all the waiters had these like the tight black shirts before tight black shirts were a thing, and they were like super muscular and everything, and it was like, and I'm thinking, I'm not going to talk to that waitress, and I realized, wait a minute, I should talk to that waitress. I had a blast at Harry Denton's, but in fact, I can tell you, Harry Denton's was the place where a little bit of trivia. Kofi Bonner, who has been my friend all the way back to Cal, who's now a rich guy who's a developer that some people don't like and all this other stuff, but he's he'll always be my friend and brother, even though we were mad at each other from time to time about little stuff. Okay, but I digress. He got hired by Common Policy to run the Cleveland Browns over dinner. In fact, Kofi got the call from Carmen Policy while I was having drinks with Kofi at Harry Denton's Southside in 1998. That's a little bit of So if anyone ever wants to, if you want to like stuff your friends with NFL trivia and know nothing about the NFL, just say, I know how the CAO of the Browns got hired in 1998. But anyway, okay.
So listening out there, people, you guys are trivia ready.
Hey, there you go. Hey, so I got to ask you, getting back to why the choice of YouTube for the platform as opposed to Facebook or anything else? It's not a trick question. I just am curious,
It's a very good question, and I'm still trying to figure out if I'm regretting it or not.
No, I'm a YouTube partner. You got my help, man. You will not regret it. Welcome to YouTube.
Thank you. I mean, it's hard because like I've been running what I do like through Facebook for a long time, but I also really dislike their business practices. They burn people. They burn people like me constantly. 10 years ago, it was like, hey, bring all your people, you had an independent blog, say, bring all your people to Facebook and make it easier, have them all in one place. It was like, great. And then like a few years later, it's like, oh yeah, this great following that you built, it's going to cost you to reach them. And they just they turn the screws and turn the screws and turn the screws, and they change their algorithm. And so like about a year and a half ago, after they helped Trump get elected, Zuckerberg felt bad. And he's like, well, we got to change our algorithms and burn pages. And so therefore my traffic for my website, which gets a lot of traffic, dropped like almost 50%.
Wow.
50% almost,
Wow.
And that part of it's our fault for relying too much on Facebook.
Yeah.
But also, my thing with Zuckerberg is like, look, if you have a problem at your house, clean it up. Don't burn my house to the ground. Like my page is verified for a reason. Why did you verify it then if it doesn't mean anything?
Yeah.
So I've got a Patreon page. Hello, people. Follow. I'm Patreon /Procast Stuart. Give $5 a month if you can. Come on. But like, Facebook just came out with a competitor for Patreon, and I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you. Why would any creator ever give you a fucking dime for that shit or like get you involved with their shit. You burned us all so many times. I know people like there've been people who like their business they went out of business because Facebook changed their algorithm.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. But also it's for me like so going back to what you're saying, it's also a learning curve because since a lot of my distribution is through Facebook, I'm seeing today I'm getting hurt badly today on Facebook trying to get distribution for this thing that we put out. We have like dozens and dozens of people sharing it, and Facebook not showing it to anybody because there is some code like. Because I'm like, I know you can't share a YouTube link on Facebook because Facebook will squish that shit. So I was like, we'll put an article on my site, embed a YouTube link on the article, but Facebook's still crawling that article and seeing YouTube code and squishing the virality of it. Garbage, shitty shit. So this goes back to our conversation with Elizabeth Warren. Fucking tear apart big tech. Break them up. One of the guys who is one of the founders of Facebook, the original like fucking 5 guys, whatever, wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post or the New York Times recently.
Chris Hughes?
That, yes.
Yeah, he also created the BarackObama.com website. Yeah.
Even like him even more.
Yeah.
But he's the guy. He wrote an article that was like saying we need to break up Facebook, like as a monopoly.
What does that consist of? How do you break up Facebook? I mean, okay, so it's different platforms. That doesn't necessarily change its behavior. How do you break up Facebook?
He wrote 3,500 words on that, so you got to ask him.
Good point.
I don't remember all of his points, but I remember thinking that these are good points. But the truth of it is, though, is like at this point, Facebook's almost like a public utility, right?
Yeah.
And so, if public utilities like if AT&T can't control all the fucking internet or phones in America, why should Facebook be able to, compete against it? There's no competition for Facebook. Either buy out their competitors or destroy them.
Well, why not? I mean, why not the expectation? Oh, by the way, one of my longtime viewers wants to know what you think of the Raiders moving to Las Vegas.
I'm not a big sports guy. But I'm a big Bay Area guy. Like, I think it sucks for people who are big Raiders fans, whether they're in LA or Oakland. But I don't care about sports. I'm like, the way I feel about I'm also a bartender. So the way I feel about sports is I want all the Bay Area teams to win every game and then lose the final game. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
As a bartender, the more games they win, the more money my friends and I make. But I want them to lose the last game because that way nobody burns my neighborhood.
Do you remember? Well, I on that note, I remember where I was when the Giants won the World Series in 2010, and it's on my YouTube channels. I was in the marina, and I have this video of these folks standing and they hammering down this car. How you doing on time, by the way?
I'm good. I got maybe 10 more minutes.
Okay, cool. Hammering down this car, like bam, 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 bam. So I see what you mean. But we were coming back to Facebook and your show. Are you in terms of distributing it? Tell people your channel so they can find you.
Sure. So it's called the show's called Shaky Ground, which is obviously kind of a double entendre kind of thing because it's Shaky Ground because literally the Bay Area is on a fault, but also because like the faultiness of our social structure, you know, how crazy it is. So it's called Shaky Ground. So it's youtube.com/Shaky Ground Show. And we just put up the first sketch today. It's very funny. I'm very biased.
Yeah. No, I'll second that. I won't second that you're biased, but I'll second that it's funny. But
thank you. Here's how I know what I'm doing is good. Is that my girlfriend says to me, she goes, "Oh, it's better than I thought it was gonna be." That means I know it's good.
Nice. So you don't have any thoughts about the Warriors coming over to Chase Center and all that transformation down there?
Bullshit. I think it's bullshit. So here's the thing: they're building a brand new stadium right across the street from a children's hospital.
Yes.
And they're like, oh yeah, because my thing is like, all right, so let's say Warriors game's getting out and some kid cracks their head open, and they're like, oh, we got this figured out. These are the same people who had it figured out with the Millennium Tower, which is now leaning.
Yeah.
The same people that had it figured out with the new Transbay Terminal, which is now closed after being open for 1 week because of cracks.
Right.
Same people had it figured out every fucking time. I don't trust them for shit. They want they're trying to get the most amount of money for the least amount of dollars.
That's true.
And like fuck them. Like it's a bad scene personally. Like honestly, once again, I'm not a big sports guy. I believe in loyalty, and I'd love to see, you know, after Oakland loving and supporting the Warriors for so long,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see them stay there because Oakland's dope, and like Oakland fucking supports the Warriors.
Yeah.
From Chris Paul until today, you know, like.
What do you have? What do you say to the mayor of Oakland, who some claim? I mean, not forget it. Libby's my god sister. But my impression.
I wish Cat Brooks was mayor, but that's just me.
Say what?
I wish that Cat Brooks was mayor of Oakland.
Oh, hey, you know, Cat. I think Cat could have won had she not ignored the hills. But Cat Brooks is, to be honest, and I'm saying this publicly, but Cat Brooks' outcome was as much a statement on her growth, her personal growth, as anything else. Because, and I would talk to her about this. I would say, stop being afraid. And look, I'm a Libby supporter because I've known Libby for 30 years, and I don't turn my back on people. I don't do that. But I am critical because Libby has changed in a way that runs counter to what she and I talked about in 2013. Okay, and what I mean by that, let me put some meat on those bones. Without giving away too much of a private conversation, but I'll just say what I can say. Libby started out last year hurling direct insults at Desley Brooks, who was a black council member. And in 2013, when she and I had a conversation about the same person, I said, don't just take the high road, you want to be mayor. Because I was the one who told her to run for mayor in 2009. My mom was there when I said, hey, you should run for mayor. And that was before Libby ran for council. And I was really serious about it. But with me, the issue is that Libby did not call on me when she made the decision. I had to find out about it from her parents when she decided to run. And so a lot of where I'm coming from, to be transparent, comes from that feeling like, hey, you know, why did you leave me out of this and that sort of thing after we've known each other for so long. And I feel that she got into office and lost some of who she was, or who I knew, okay, and became a different person because she befriended folks like Mark Benioff, who's a billionaire, and Tom Steyer, who's another billionaire. But my whole point is that this us versus them, I want to be with my people stuff, you know what? That's a code word for I'm afraid of being successful. And that's why she didn't win. She was afraid of success. When you want success, you don't care about what people think or your levels or anything. You're on a mission to improve the lives of other people. And my point, you find the levers, okay? She didn't do that. I would have done it. And if I ran, I would have obliterated it and I would have won against everybody. But what I would have done is what Libby didn't do. She didn't bring them all in and say, hey, look, let's form a cabinet and improve things, okay? Now, yeah, it's pretty arrogant for me who didn't run to say, hey, look, if I...
You could run in 3 years, 2 years, man, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but you know what? Do you know why I didn't, though? I
Why's
didn't...
that?
I'm here for my mom, man.
I understand.
Okay, and I'll tell you something off camera
Sure.
in a few seconds that I need to follow up with that, okay? I don't want to... I bet... but, yeah, that's... that... And what I'm going to say is not about me, it's about something else. And
Sure.
and someone else. But that did run. That made a huge mistake as a cautionary tale. And I don't want to put that name person out here. But my point is that we've forgotten how to fix government, man. We've forgotten how to do it. But let me shift back to the real conversation.
Yeah.
Your damn show, folks. Check out his show.
They do.
You gotta do live. You know, can I give you a piece of advice? Live streams, man. If you can, have a studio audience, because you're like, take people in different places of San Francisco and that sort of thing, and don't make it just those fixed ones. The reason why I say is because with live streams you get more viewers. They've changed
Yeah,
the YouTube algorithm that way. So my advice you didn't ask for, but I think
I appreciate
appropriate,
that.
but appropriate for a person like you who's truly a man about town. Have an occasional, like maybe once a month live stream. You know.
Yeah, through YouTube, you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's easy to do with YouTube. Yeah. But it'll
Yeah,
be on the same channel, right? So that
yeah,
you
good
know.
idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that way you can use it and set it up so that you are replaying your older videos and everything else. But the way YouTube is set up, and this is for other people watching YouTube, watching right now, they have it fixed so that live stream gets more views than
Right.
standard. That's why I say that as well. And you can build your subscriber base faster. You know.
It's funny because it's like these tech companies don't want you to live an actual life; they want you to live a virtual life.
Yeah. Well, I think I say this self-serve. I say this. This is a lot of fun. I mean, I really encourage you to vlog, man, because first of all, you've done it before and you're good.
Thank you.
All right, and I really believe that that news media now is toward influencers, and
Sure.
I don't mean fry festival types, but
Yeah. Right.
right, but I mean
Right.
but people like the heads, they like the talking heads, they like to listen to you, and that brings the viewers, and that brings that to how where people get their nose today.
Shit.
Traditional media doesn't get that. So I
Yeah.
think you're onto something, man. I'm glad. I'm honored that uh, folks. The minute you get off, go over right now. Subscribe to his channel, please. I just do it.
YouTube.com/Shaky Ground Show.
That's good. And so that we're gonna shut this down so I can talk to you off camera for a bit. But Stu, we've paid 59 minutes and 48 seconds.
Wow.
We got a long one, dude. All right,
Thank you
folks.
so much. I appreciate your time.
We're gonna have you back though. You gotta come. Hey, folks,
Anytime.
Tuesday night, we're gonna be at Luca's at 7:30 p.m. Pacific next week in Oakland, corner Grand and Broadway.